Life update, November 20th, 2016, 4 p.m. I am getting ready to head across country in exactly 1 week. I will be getting on the road. You guys know, going to Florida, fish with Chad Hoover and Fluke Master. I hadn't really been able to hit the water at all since San Diego. I think I've been out once here on my home lake, but I have been tying up loose ends at the tattoo shop. I have been dealing with home life, and I've been dealing with my truck. I was underneath my truck a million different times in the last 3 weeks trying to chase electrical nightmares, getting it running again, and finally got it fired up again. So gonna do a tune-up on it this week, and hopefully it'll make it across country. I'm not really positive, but we'll see. What else? Shirts are on their way this week to anybody that has ordered them. I apologize for the wait. My printer has been a little bit behind schedule. He's a one-man band. Great dude, great printer. He's just a little bit behind, so those are getting to me like ASAP. And they will go out, start shipping this week. Thank you guys for your patience on that. I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry that took so long. I got in the mail from Rago Baits this week the 9.5 inch and the 11 inch alpha trout weightless big soft baits. They are awesome. I will be throwing those like crazy out at Bienville, and hopefully if I can get out to Lake Mead this week, I'm going to be throwing those on some grass flats also. I just wanted to touch base with you guys because I feel bad because I haven't uploaded in a while. So one question that I get, and I get a lot, is what knot do I use? What knot do I use for swim baits? I use 2 knots, and 2 knots with regularity. On my big baits, I use the double San Diego jam knot, and I'm going to show you guys how to tie that in just a second with some red rope here because it's easier to kind of visualize. It's not going to look as clean as it will with fishing line, but it's easier to show you guys how to tie it with that. And I use the Palomar knot. Tried, true, great knot. It's got awesome breaking strength, as does the San Diego jam. And those are the 2 best knots that I've found for what I do and the baits that I use. Without further ado, let's show you guys how to tie a double San Diego jam knot with some rope. Here we go. So I'm set up on my workbench. It's not the best backdrop, but it's got the best lighting, and you can kind of see this red rope the best against this backdrop. So the knot I use more often than not, is the double San Diego jam knot. And what that is basically, it's the regular San Diego jam knot, it's just doubled up, hence the name. So imagine this is the eyelet of your bait, or your split ring or snap or whatever it may be. You're going to pass through once, and then you're going to come back and you're going to pass through again. So you're going to have line doubled up just like this. Now, this knot can get kind of tricky because it's a lot of line to manage. So what you're going to do is you're going to come back towards you. I'm trying to do it in an angle that you guys could relate to, like as if you were tying the knot. You're going to come back towards you with the looped in, and you're going to have the main line and the tag end in your right hand, and you're going to go over the top and around your index, and then you're going to lay it across your main line and your tag. You're going to lay it across the whole deal. You're going to grab it and you're going to wrap that 5 to 7 times. Now, because I have rope, I'm going to do it 3 to kind of show you guys, but 5 to 7 is the normal. Actually, I'll just do it 2 because this rope is really bulky. So after you've wrapped that around 5 to 7 times, you've created a loop down here. You're going to go through that loop. So you're going through it, and you're going to pull it down. And now you've got your looped tag in, and what you wrapped around your index finger, you've formed a loop. You're going to come back up through that loop, and you're going to pull all that towards you. I'll pull the main line and the tag ends to where it starts to cinch down, and this is normally when I wet my line down. And you're going to cinch it against the eyelet just to where it starts to bunch up these coils, and then you kind of snug that looped in, and then you pull down and you snug everything up real nice and tight. Now you've got your tag end and your looped tag end, and you're going to cut those. I usually leave myself a little bit of slack right here. I don't cut it all the way up. Now, one way to tell if you've done your San Diego jam knot right is your looped tag in should be coming back up through the knot in the same way that the main and the other tag line is. It should be in line. If you've tied it wrong, it's going to be sticking off to the side like that. And that's what you don't want. You want to come back up through that second loop, and you want it to be back in line like this. So once you get the hang of it, really good, really strong knot. Never had it fail. This is what I tie on all my heavier baits, usually 6 ounces and above. And I've never had an issue. One big thing that you want to look for is when you tie everything and you cinch everything down, these two lines, especially with fluoro, these two lines that are going through the eyelet, you want to make sure that they're not crossed like that. You want to make sure that they're side by side in the eyelet, especially with fluoro, because you don't want them to gouge into each other and cut. So make sure that they're not crossed over each other like that. That's the knot I find myself using more so than any other knot. I like it a lot. I've never had it break. People ask me a lot what I use, and there's your answer. That's what I use. One thing I did get in the mail this week that I am pretty excited about is this bad boy. If you guys follow my Instagram, you saw me post it a little bit earlier. This is the 11-inch weightless Rego Alpha Trout. Now, when I say weightless, that just means that it doesn't have an internal harness on it. It's not internally rigged to be a slow sink or a moderate sink or anything like that. This is just a big, giant hunk of plastic. Weightless, it still clocks in with hooks just under 10 ounces. I think with the double hook rig on it, it weighs in at like 9.50 ounces. So it is still a heavy, heavy bait. They're a line through bait, so you feed the line in through the nose, it comes out through the belly, and Danny has recommended that you do a double hook rig on the bottom. So I've got two 2-watt round bend trebles on there. This probably isn't the final hook setup I'm going to use because I don't like the distance that I have with braid on there. Matt Allen from Tactical Bassin just let out a really awesome hook rigging video with a idea for single strand wire for hook rigs, stinger hook rigs, stuff like that I hadn't thought of before or hadn't seen before, so I'm probably going to end up doing that. They're weightless. When you cast it out, it sits just subsurface on the water and it glides underneath. Now with double hooks on there, it's going to be just enough weight to make it a super slow sink, and at some point it kind of suspends. Danny suggests on the 11-inch rigging it up with the double hook rig and just really slow crawling this thing. This tail on it, that thing, you can see just from the wiggle, it's got so much action. For being such a big soft bait, this thing has a ton of action in the water. When you throw it in, this tail just kind of moves back and forth in the water like that without even doing anything. And then you slowly just creep it across the top of the water, man. And if you want, you can retrieve it a little bit faster and you have a wake bait. If not, you can let it sit just subsurface and it bulges the top of the water, or you can let it sink down a little bit. It's got a little brother also, which is the 9.5-inch. And I don't have any hooks on that yet, but Danny on this recommended to run a single treble on the belly because it's a smaller bait and you can get away with it. This thing's going to be awesome for the winter when they're moving a little bit slower. And you know, those big grass patches are dying off and stuff like that. You find that isolated patch of still nice green oxygenated grass and you just creep this thing right over the top of it and I'm sure it's going to get smashed. The 9.5-inch, same exact thing. This is a little more manageable. This comes in at around 5 ounces. So this is pretty much the same, you know, a little bit bigger than the HUD. Weighs about the same, but lengthwise it's a little bit longer. And this tail has even more action than the 11 does in the water. And the same concept, you can throw it out there, let it just slowly sink, and then eventually it suspends and you just slow creep it over grass, rocks, around docks. You could throw it across shallow points. If they're on schooling fish, you could throw it across deeper points right through the middle of that school. You know, if bait fish are popping on the surface, creep this thing on the surface. You can weight them. Nail weights are awesome, and you could strategically place them down the center of the body, and you can make this thing a slow sink if you want. But with the weight of the hooks on there, it just barely sinks, man. So really subtle, really awesome baits for the wintertime. I can't wait to get a fish on these. These are definitely going to be a player out at Bienville. So check out Rago baits. They're linked down below. You guys have heard me talk about the weedless a million times. This is not a paid advertisement. I paid for these just like everybody else does. They don't send me anything. I don't know them personally. To me, they're the ultimate big soft swim bait. So definitely check them out. That's pretty much my update for the week, guys. You guys are going to be seeing videos from me every day now. Let's get something straight. Some of the edits, they're not going to be fire edits. They're not going to be crazy lit. Some of them are going to be a little more stripped down. And then you guys will still get, you know, those super detailed reviews or how-tos and stuff like that. And you guys will still get my days on the water. The last 3 weeks, I haven't really had any days on the water, to be totally honest with you. I just haven't. I haven't had the time. So even though the little pond lake thing that I live on is my backyard, it's even been hard to get out on that. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe out there. Tight lines.